Before we get started, let's just keep in mind, I ran a poll to see if you really wanted this video, and you said yes. That's the first thing. Second, I previously did a video that's 19 minutes long on why Nike doesn't care if you take L's on the sneakers app. If you weren't fond of that video, I don't know that this one will sit well with you either. But nonetheless, if you're watching this, you're here. So let's just go over some introductory things about myself and the situation. Number one, I am exhausted with the story and it being all over. I have reached that level of fatigue. Number two, I'm also fatigued of the fact that people can't pronounce the name correctly. It's not Herbert because it's not H-E-R. Hebert, literally H-E and Bert. Hebert, okay? Second thing. Third thing, no, you're not going to hit on sneakers any more now than you already were. Okay? Seen a lot of videos about that. No, that's just my thought. You're not going to hit any more than what you already do. Following behind that, I'm shocked that you're so shocked that this level of corruption or manipulation or deceit could occur as high as it did in Nike, as if the 2007 financial crisis taught us nothing that this occurs, but it also taught us absolutely nothing changes or happens in the industry or in that market. You can look that up. Quantitative easing worsened after the whole AIG scandal. And another thing, as consumers, is it really fair for you to hold Nike accountable when you truly hold the power to shift and shock the resale market, but you won't act to do it? Again, remember, you asked for this. Okay, so let's just go through some of the facts. And listen, I've seen a lot of people comment, well, you missed this and you missed this and you missed that on other creators' videos. The whole article is below and it will touch on every little nuance and intricacy of the story. That's not what this video is for. This video is for my thoughts. That article is below. But let's just touch on some of the basics, right? So we have Ann Hebert, who was the acting VP and General Manager of Nike North America with a specific oversight over the sneakers app. Okay, understood that. You have Josh Hunt, who was the journalist who chose to highlight the booming resale sneaker business of the son of Ann Hebert, whose name is Joe. And you have Joe, a college dropout who understood there was money to be made in a market. Now, it was detailed that many months they cleared $200,000. And in May of 2020, with the pandemic being what it was, setting the stage in an environment to really thrive in the sneaker resale space with his resources, information, and I would still say ambition, cleared $600,000. So we have a VP pushing a brand's agenda, and that's her job. We have a, I guess, really intuitive and investigative writer. That's his job, to point out things. And then you have an ambitious 19-year-old who is quite honestly making bank. So what's the problem again? Oh, that's right. That's right. The little part about his mom's money being used for the resale business. All right. I mean, I guess that's why we're here. The smoking gun. That's what we're here to talk about, right? What was the smoking gun that really set this all off, into motion? So I firmly believe it. I understand it's not what you know, it's who you know. Listen, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Proof is everything. People get away with legitimate murder because you can't prove it. Now, that's not what this is, but it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Up until this point, there was no provable conflict of interest for Anne and Joe's business. The title of West Coast Streetwear, again, his choice. There was no provable conflict of interest there until this article released. And it's always that one thing that can slip you up. It wasn't even the flexing and the flaunting, which he's 19 years old, and a lot of 19-year-olds do the very same thing. Teenagers are careless, they are reckless. It's why they're usually not allowed to drink until they're the age of 21, and even then, many of them don't need to do that. But he was still pretty under the radar even then, hiding his face, still able to flex. I bought a BMW with, the spoil, that was the spoil of his riches. Hey, listen, do you? But the proof was now available in that one specific paragraph in the article written by Josh. Because see, there it details Anne's name was on the AMX, in which was used for the lucrative spending to then return a profit to Joe. That there was the problem in itself. And again, in 2018, she was extremely transparent about this. A Nike representative even said, well, Anne was forthright in what her son was doing and involved in, and we saw no problem. Do you know why there wasn't a problem? Because they were still very much so in control of the story. There was no story. Everything in life, you will find out, is about the story. And it's about control, because if you can control the story, you are in a position of power. Politics, business, your individual life, you're a storyteller. You're telling me a story all the time. When you post on social media, you're telling a story. What brands choose to market, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, they're trying to control the story. This story was no longer in Nike's control anymore. To me, that's where the issue comes to play. That's the issue there. They were no longer in control of the story. And when you lose control of that storyline, you're no longer guiding it in the direction that puts you in the best light. Change has to happen. That change came, and hey, and yeah, you 25 years. Listen, at least this is how I think it went down, because we're going to get into speculation. I expect her resignation by X day. So my speculation in relation to corporate dealings, and I'm going to approach this thinking how I would in terms of any corporate setting. So at least from my perspective, it's rare when I say they, I mean higher up leadership beyond herself, that they were as blindsided as you may think by the article. They weren't. And I say that for a few reasons. One, they're usually in the know, right? A situation arises. Listen, people are aware long before a situation actually plays out. They often wait and weigh the pros and cons of which action do we take, and then when do we take it. That matters a lot. So I have to believe they knew, but you always want to see, okay, where does this story go? How bad does this get? And then at what point do we step in to defer or minimize any additional collateral damage? Trust me, there were people in the know in a room figuring this all out. I also find it interesting that her home apparently was up for sale. Homes typically don't go up for sale like that quick, or the fact that it was up for sale, I believe, prior to this article coming out. Again, I find that part interesting. I don't know that it's directly related, but Kari kind of pointed that out, that the home is up for sale. So I just found that part interesting. But again, I don't think this was just blindsiding Nike's higher ups. And by the way, I saw somebody comment, yeah, Mark Parker is not the acting CEO anymore. Yeah, he's just not. But trust me, I was all about Mark too, but he's not the acting CEO anymore. So when it comes to confidential information, right? Because it was stated that discounts weren't shared. And I know that's the story that people ran with. Oh my God, he used his mom's discounts. Discounts really wouldn't be what mattered most. The win. The price of an IPO launch is not what gets you in trouble for insider trading. Knowing when it's launching and you acting on that information is what gets you in trouble for insider trading. I don't care about the price. I just want to know when. I don't care about the cost of the acquisition or a divestiture. I just want to know when it's occurring. That there is the priceless information that we speculate was shared that provided Joe the leg up over so many individuals, manual users, absolutely, but then probably other botters as well. Now, when you work in corporate America, it's not uncommon for you to be placed under a P&C, which just means private and confidential. I am under layers and layers and layers of one right now for my current job, to the point where I'm looking at other managers, and trust me, they manage a lot in terms of revenue. I'm looking at them and saying, can't comment. I can't answer that. I can't talk to you about that, because they're not under the P&C. To break that is actually really, really easy. What most people don't know, right? Proprietary information with regards to a brand or a business, you're actually not supposed to even go home and discuss those things with your spouse or your kids in general conversation at the dinner table. So now do you understand like why it's so easy for that to just get out if somebody in your family is casually asking you a question and you just answer it and you may not even realize it is proprietary information. I'm not saying she didn't know, because I'm not absolving her of anything. She's a grown adult, but that's possibly what it was. And that was the problem. I guess my other question is also this. I liken Anne almost to maybe just a low level reseller, even a consumer, right? If you call up to your local footwear retailer and you ask them, hey, I know your shipment was late. When's that coming in? Is that not similar? It's on a much smaller scale. You're a little fish. That was a whale. Is that not essentially the same thing? Because it pays to know when a shoe will drop and at what time and in what quantity. So if you were to call up to your local footwear store and they tell you, yeah, our late shipment is arriving on this day at this time, and this is the stock count. You don't think you have information now that other people don't that you can capitalize on? So let's move on to the self-serving hypocrisy by Nike, but also by you as the consumer. So that does include me, but we're not talking about me here. We're talking about just this whole thing. Will Nike change anything? Well, my shirt says we run things. I don't think their market share is diminished in any way in relation to their competitors. So why would they, even with this story? And if they change anything, I'll be honest with you, it's only further and faster towards what they were already doing. And do you know who that probably harms? You, the end consumer, a little bit more. I'm going to flat out say this. It is illogical for you to think that now you will magically hit on sneakers more because a pawn on a multi-billion-dollar board has simply slowed down or is no longer in play. That's reacting off of emotion. That's what that is. You all saw the intro. You saw the comments and those are comments from actual videos on other creators' pages. That's an emotional reaction because for so long, so many of you have been so upset about all the L's you took and you still take on sneakers and you will take on the sneakers app that you just wanted to direct that frustration, that anger, that disappointment at someone. And now you have a face. And Hebert is your face. Joe Hebert is your face. Don't get me wrong. Probably if you just did a deep Google search, and I'm aware that no one searches or looks up anything anymore. I know this because I have a video that literally details the conversion sizing for men's to women's and women's to men's and grade school alike for sizing. But do you think even women take the time to watch the video? No, the whole video, and it's even timestamped, and a pinned comment that does the math of plus 1.5 or minus 1.5, and they still don't listen or read. So I know that people didn't take the time. You could have found a face for your frustration probably long ago. You probably could have found Anne's, who she was, what she was in charge of long ago before this point. But this isn't changing anything. So what is Nike's agenda? Well, it serves them to continue the consumer direct offense, because the best defense is an offense, right? And I didn't say defense against bots. I just said the best defense is a good offense. They're defending against anything that draws away from their direct dollar, right? That's what this is about. It's about money. Control. What did I say? Control, story, dollars. It's about control. That's why they're moving for less product to go to the middle person, which is actually still your local footwear retailer, and to stay within their own Nike brick and mortar stores, their own Nike website, their own Nike app. And that's worked out really well for them. I mean, if you check out the quarterly earnings from last time, it's doing well for them. Why would they stop? They're not. So that means AKA you're still going to take L's. So that's why Nike's not going to stop doing anything they're doing. Here's why you as a consumer won't stop doing anything you're doing. Okay, listen, it's a bit hypocritical. It really is, because to complain and know that you're not going to change anything, or that realistically nothing's going to change because it's a group effort, and do we really believe in group projects? Like, I hope you don't. Okay, so let's be clear. The psychological hold on you that your wants have versus the bigger altruistic picture of, I can change this market. You're not beating that. You're not. How many times have you wanted to do something? I'm going to start something, and then you stop, and then you start, and then you stop, and then you start. It's like yo-yo dieting, right? Because there isn't that lasting commitment, because you have that want so badly. You have that want so badly for shoes, you're not going to stop. Don't lie to yourself. Listen, the one person you should never lie to, well, your doctor and your lawyer, but also don't lie to yourself. Just don't do it. And let's just say you commit, I will not purchase another Nike or Jordan. I'm not doing this until they change, until things are different. Okay, I respect that. Now, do you really trust the individual? Do you really trust the resolve of the entire buying community in this space to follow suit and hold to that, to put a squeeze on Nike? I hope you don't. I certainly don't. I don't have a lot of faith in the resolve of the next person next to me. I don't. I'm just being 100% honest. I don't. And with that being the truth, this community is not just going to put a hold on Nike. You're not going to put a squeeze on them. People say, oh, well, I'm going to stop. I'm going to sell all of my Nike shares off. Got you. So do you own at least 10% of the 1.27 billion shares that are out in the market right now? Because if you don't, I just hate to break it, I don't think that's going to hurt Nike's bottom line. Like, no offense, a lot of us are not as important as we think we are on like the bigger board of things, unless we're collectively together. But I just said we're not going to be collectively together. So yeah, I don't think they care. The next person in the market is just going to buy those shares, and they're just going to watch the company continue to grow in value. I'll probably be that person when I invest into my Roth IRA again this month in the S&P 500 that holds Nike. Biggest assumption I disagree with in all of this. Biggest assumption I disagree with. If Anne was your mom, you would have done the same thing. Wrong again. Wrong again. Whatever you would do with your life and whatever opportunities are afforded to you, that's fine. You own those. Don't place those on me. We are not the same. I don't value much of the same things in the same list of priorities that you might. Because for me, it's about framing, right? Framing and importance. And I'll put it into perspective for you, right? Listen, okay? Do you watch House of Cards? Let me help you with a scene from season 1, episode 1. It's about framing, right? Where was Frank in the frame at the inauguration of President Garrett Walker? Well, he was in the frame and he was right on the outer edge, right? And what is it about? Real estate, location, location, location. Now, it's not real estate in terms of land, but it's real estate in terms of your proximity to the source of power. So number one, in terms of hierarchy of importance, listen, power of position, don't ever give that up. Number two would then be money, but chasing all money is not smart. If you're chasing money that jeopardizes the power of the position, I would say don't do it. That's just for me. And attention, that's what unfortunately also broke this story wide open. And again, he's 19 years old, but attention that you're craving by people that will never attend your funeral and really don't give a damn about you, that does not matter to me. It doesn't matter. It definitely doesn't rank above the money that I can earn to support myself. And it certainly doesn't rank anywhere close to power, position, and understanding how invaluable that is. That there was priceless. His mom was already within the frame. She was there literally like 2 inches from the source of power. That's what he chose to give up. That is something I would never do. Not to mention, no matter what I do and who I am, that is still a reflection on my mom. And how dare I ever put my mom in a predicament or a situation in which it negatively impacts her. Now, again, that's not to absolve Anne of anything. And I would hold my mom accountable as well, because if you take an action as an adult, there's a consequence. You have to own that. I don't care what your intention was. Even if you would think, oh, I didn't know. Let's just say she didn't know that her AMX was being used. Okay, let's just say she didn't know. Do you think that would have changed anything? No, you're still probably going to have to resign, because you're still going to be held accountable for something that was your responsibility and in your possession. That's just how life works. So here are my last 2 points and I'm done. This is my biggest disappointment, all right? I have 2 big disappointments. I really do. Number one, that so-called really intelligent, really in tune people are so shocked by this occurring. I'm not sure if you're shocked because maybe it finally is happening within your little wheelhouse, that it's a problem in our wheelhouse being the sneaker community, but this isn't something new. I've seen like the sneaker game is broken. Also, is there like a handbook that I don't know that provides the rules and regulations universally for the sneaker game? I'm just asking. Like, I played high school basketball and ran high school track, and there was a Michigan handbook for high school sports and we all followed the exact same rules. If I'm missing that book, then please provide it. But since there is no book, who's to define what's broken and not broken? Because I'm going to be honest, the game seems to be running and firing on all cylinders for those it's benefiting and those who are able to work the system, but also just take advantage and be in a position of power for that. It's not me, it's probably not you, but a system is not broken if someone is winning. There's just going to still be the haves and the have-nots. So I don't think that it's broken. And the other part that is really, really baffling to me, So I never would have guessed something would happen this manipulative, and I just feel so deceived at this high a level. Before we go, let's break down whole 2007 thing. I'm going to just real quick, okay? AIG, ratings agencies, investment banks, okay? So the underlying loans started to fail for these package securities. However, the ratings for them never diminished. They never went down. They still stayed AAA, AA, doesn't matter. Which also meant then the value of the insurance policies for these very same securities never changed. That was direct manipulation. And it wasn't people didn't get sneakers and they took an L when you already own hundreds of shoes possibly. No. You know what happened? The outcome there? People lost jobs. People lost homes. People lost retirement funds. People lost everything. People chose to possibly take their lives because of that fallout. That was true catastrophe. This hits home because it's hitting us right here, and it's sneakers. Wake up. This is the real world. As terrible, as dark, as ridiculous as it may be, this here is actually the real world. Much more goes on worse than this. This is just the story for the current news cycle. That's really all I got to say on this. Act your age, not your shoe size. Peace out.